Send comes from the Latin verb scandere, to climb. The staircase we ascend to our bedroom at night we will descend the next morning, since what goes up must come down. Transcend, to rise above the limits of, overcome, surpass. His defeat in the election had been terribly hard on him, and it took 2 years before he finally felt he had transcended the bitterness it had produced. Great leaders are expected to transcend the limitations of politics, especially during wartime and national crises. A great writer may transcend geographical boundaries to become internationally respected. And certain laws of human nature seem to transcend historical periods and hold true for all times and all places. Condescend, 1. To stoop to a level of lesser importance or dignity. 2. To behave as if superior. Every so often my big brother would condescend to take me to a movie, but only when my parents made him. Back when society was more rigidly structured, condescend didn't sound so negative. People of higher rank, power, or social position had to overlook certain established rules of behavior if they wished to have social dealings with people of lower status, but such condescension was usually gracious and courteous. In today's more classless society, the term implies a manner that may be slightly offensive. A poor relation is unlikely to be grateful to a wealthy and condescending relative who passes on her second-hand clothes, and employees at an office party may not be thrilled when the boss's wife condescends to mingle with them. Often the word is used rather unseriously, as when a friend comments that a snooty sales clerk condescended to wait on her after ignoring her for several minutes. Descendant, 1. One that has come down from another or from a common stock. 2. One deriving directly from a forerunner or original. Though none of the great man's descendants ever came close to achieving what he had, most of them enjoyed very respectable careers. Descendant is the opposite of ancestor. Your grandparents' descendants are those who are descended from them, your parents, your brothers and sisters, and any children that any of you may have. It's been claimed that every person on earth is a descendant of Muhammad, and of every historical person before him, Julius Caesar, the Buddha, etc., who started a line of descent. Some of us still find this hard to believe. And not all descendants are human. Every modern thesaurus, for example, could be called the descendant of the one devised by Peter Marc Roget in 1852. Ascendancy, governing or controlling interest, domination. China's growing ascendancy over Tibet was capped by the invasion of 1950. In the course of a year, the sun appears to pass through the 12 constellations of the zodiac in sequence, and all the planets also lie close to the solar path. The constellation and planet that are just rising, or ascendant, above the eastern horizon in the sun's path at the moment of a child's birth are said by astrologers to exercise a lifelong controlling influence over the child. This is the idea that lies at the heart of ascendancy, though the word today no longer hints at supernatural powers. Onym comes from the Greek onyma, meaning name, word. An anonymous donor or writer is one who isn't named. A synonym is a word with the same meaning as another word, csyn. And homonyms, chom/homo, are words that look and sound alike but aren't actually related, such as well, healthy, and well, a deep hole with water in it. Antonym, a word that means the opposite of some other word. There's no point in telling a 3-year-old that cat isn't an antonym of dog, and sun isn't an antonym of moon. Antonym includes the Greek prefix ant, meaning opposite, cant/anti. Antonyms are often thought of in pairs, hot/cold, up/down, wet/dry, by/sell, failure/success. But a word may have more than one antonym, old/young, old/new, especially when one of the words has synonyms, small/large, small/big, little/big, and a word may have many approximate antonyms, adore/hate, adore/detest, adore/loathe. But although lots of words have synonyms, not so many have antonyms. What would be the antonym of pink? Weather? Semi-pro? 30? Firefighter? Wax? About? Consider? Eponymous of, relating to, or being the person for whom something is named. Adjectives such as Elizabethan, Victorian, and Edwardian show how the names of certain British monarchs have become eponymous for particular time periods and styles. Things as different as a bird, a river, and a drug may be named to honor someone. The Canadian city of Vancouver was named after the explorer George Vancouver. The diesel engine was named for its inventor, Rudolf Diesel. Alzheimer's disease was named after the physician Alois Alzheimer, and so on. Common eponymous terms include Ohm's law, Parkinson's law, and the Peter Principle. And if the Beatles' famous White Album actually has a name, it's usually called The Beatles, which means that it's eponymous as well. Don't be surprised if eponymous turns out to be a hard word to use. Lots of other people have discovered the same thing. Patronymic, part of a personal name, based on the name of one's father or one of his ancestors. Reading Tolstoy's vast novel, it can be helpful to know that Helene Vasilyevna's second name is a patronymic, and thus that her father is named Vasily. A patronymic, or patronym, see also pater/patr, is generally formed by adding a prefix or suffix to a name. Thus, a few centuries ago, the male patronymic of Patrick was Fitzpatrick, Patrick's son; that of Peter was Peterson or Peterson; that of Donald was MacDonald or MacDonald; and that of Hernando was Hernandez. Today, of course, each of these is an ordinary family name or surname. In Russia, both a patronymic and a surname are still used. In the name Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky, for example, Ilyich is a patronymic meaning son of Ilya. Pseudonym, a name that someone, such as a writer, uses instead of his or her real name. Hundreds of Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, and Bobbsey Twins novels were churned out under such pseudonyms as Franklin W. Dixon, Carolyn Keene, and Laura Lee Hope. The Greek pseudo is used in English to mean false or sometimes resembling. A pseudonym is thus a false name or alias. A writer's pseudonym is called a pen name, as in the case of Howard O'Brien, who usually writes as in Rice, but sometimes under other names, and an actor's pseudonym is called a stage name, as in the case of Marion Morrison, John Wayne. A cadre name may be used for the sake of secrecy by a revolutionary plotter such as Vladimir Ulyanov, Lenin, or Iosif Dzugashvili, Stalin. And in many religious orders, members adopt devotional names, as Agnes Bojaxia did in 1931, Teresa, later known as Mother Teresa.